Today, guys, we're going to be reviewing a different Indian chef. We're going to be seeing how Kunal Kapur makes his Tawa pizza. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. If I didn't, I apologize. If you are new to the channel, my name is James. I've been cooking for many years in many different places around the world, and I have plenty of other videos and recipes on YouTube. So if you do happen to enjoy this video, be sure to give it a share and a like, but don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Now, let's get started.
एक ऐसा पिज्जा जो होगा एक्सट्रीमली टेस्टी, बिना अवन के, बिना ईस्ट के, 100% वेजिटेरियन और बहुत ही आसान रेसिपी। शुरू करते हैं तवा पिज्जा आला कुनाल स्टाइल।
This looks like a good recipe. It doesn't look like it's going to be a similar recipe, I think, to what we reviewed a couple years ago with Chef Ranveer. And we also actually remade that recipe. And it did turn out to be a very good recipe, especially if you didn't have an oven or anything at home and you're just going to be cooking in a pan. It's a good recipe. I did make a pizza recipe not that long ago, and if you are curious, be sure to check that out after seeing this video. You do need an oven at home, but it's a super quick recipe. Very fast.
ओके, तवा पिज्जा बनाने के लिए वी हैव फ्यू एलिमेंट्स। एक है उसका डो, उसकी सॉस, उसकी टॉपिंग एंड टुवर्ड्स द एंड उसे हमें बेक करना है। ना डो बनाना सबसे पहले हम शुरू करेंगे, जिसके लिए हम लेंगे मैदा और मैदे में जाएगा थोड़ी सी सूजी। सूजी इसमें हम इसलिए डालते हैं क्योंकि जब हम पिज्जा के ऊपर सॉस और चीज डालकर बेक करते हैं, कभी कभार वो सॉगी हो जाता है, वो ना हो, थोड़ा सा क्रिस्प रहे, इसलिए हम इसमें सूजी डालते हैं।
That's interesting. I don't think Chef Ranveer used semolina in his recipe. If anyone's wondering what semolina is, it is actually made from durum wheat. Now, this type of wheat is used in making pizzas and pastas in Italy. It's a very popular wheat. It has a high protein content and it also gives you that nice chewy texture. If you have a gluten allergy though, you may want to stay away from it because it is high in gluten as well as, well, all-purpose flour for that matter. You're going to be wanting to maybe use either chickpea flour or another type of flour that will not hurt you. If you want something similar to semolina, you can use polenta for the texture. This is made out of corn. This is not the same thing.
इसमें जाएगा थोड़ा सा नमक। ना यीस्ट नहीं है, इसलिए हम इसमें डालेंगे बेकिंग पाउडर एंड बेकिंग सोडा, बोथ ऑफ दैट। बेकिंग सोडा को एक्टिवेट करने के लिए खट्टा दही।
It's not going to be using yeast again. This is a quick way on doing it as well, because normally when you make pizza you use yeast. This is what we use. We use yeast, but it does take a little bit of time unless you like add a lot of yeast and a lot of sugar. Why is it that a lot of people consider yeast to be a living organism, which yeast is technically in the fungi kingdom? It's in the fungi family. So if that's a living organism, then how come a lot of people still eat mushrooms that are vegans? Because in the West, a lot of people will eat yeast. They don't really think about it. Even if they're vegan, they don't really think about that being like a living organism. They'll eat it.
मामूली सी चीनी। चीनी से होता है एक तो थोड़ा सा स्वीटनेस आती है डो में, एट द सेम टाइम वो कैरामलाइज बड़े अच्छे तरीके से होता है। लिटिल बिट ऑफ वाटर एंड वी हैव टू मेक अ स्मूथ एंड अ सॉफ्ट डो।
So far, this dough recipe is looking to be a lot easier and a lot better than Adam Ragusia's. I know, because I tried his. So did Future Canoe and a lot of other people. It's not an easy dough to work with, but this, super easy and straightforward. Love it already. When you make a recipe, it is very important to make the recipe easy, because more likely than not, the person that's going to be making it will not have a lot of skill.
As you can see, ये थोड़ा अभी स्टिकी डो है, बिल्कुल परफेक्ट है। देख रहे हैं ये किस तरीके से विद द पाम ऑफ द हैंड मैं इसे मसल रहा हूं। यूं मसल कर हमें इसके अंदर का ग्लूटेन एक्टिवेट करना है। अभी ये स्टिकी डो है, थोड़ी देर बाद ये बिल्कुल परफेक्ट हो जाएगा। ओके, हल्का ऑयल का हाथ।
Now, there is such a thing as actually overworking the gluten, meaning that you're overworking the dough. This can happen. More than likely than not, you're not going to get to that point, especially if you're doing it by hand. Your arm will probably wear out before the dough gets too tough. But what happens is that when you overwork it, the gluten becomes too chewy and you don't have that nice stretchy texture. It basically becomes like a very tight rubber band that you can't pull it anymore. And if you underwork the gluten, which is also another thing, then that means that the pizza will not be stringy, but instead it will start to break apart. And when you use a flour that has a higher protein content, it makes it more stretchy.
I'm using some olive oil. आप regular oil का भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. It's perfectly fine. आप देख सकते हैं डो कितना लचीला है, किस तरीके से ये स्प्रेड हो रहा है और ब्रेक नहीं हो रहा। ये एक अच्छी कंसिस्टेंसी है डो के लिए। डो तैयार है, इसे देंगे रेस्ट फॉर अबाउट हाफ एन आवर। इसे कवर करके रखेंगे ढककर। ना पिज्जा सॉस के लिए सबसे पहले हम लेंगे ऑयल। ये है गार्लिक, थोड़ा सा चिली फ्लेक्स। गार्लिक, चिली फ्लेक्स, ऑलिव ऑयल, वेरी इटालियन।
Oh, where's Vincenzo when you need him? Now, just to clear this up, because a lot of people think that, well, outside of Italy, a lot of people do think that Italy uses a lot of garlic and they put it in everything. In Italy, they do use garlic, but it is nowhere nearly as popular as it is here in Spain. The Spanish love garlic. There are a lot of recipes in Spanish cuisine that include garlic, some to the point where the garlic is the main point of the recipe. So you have like gambas pilpil or gambas al ajillo, which is literally just gambas or shrimp with garlic in oil and maybe a chili or two. Again though, keep in mind, the Italians do use garlic, and I'm sure that in some regions they use more than they do in others, so it depends on where in Italy. And if there are any Italians watching, please correct me if I made a mistake, but or if you want to explain a bit more, but yeah.
लाइट सौते, इसमें जाएगा टमाटर, some salt, a little bit of onion, थोड़ी सी dried oregano and some pepper powder. इसमें हम डालेंगे थोड़े से basil leaves ताकि ये सॉस बिल्कुल ड्राई ना बने. We'll add a dash of water. टमाटर को पकाना है जब तक कि वो मैश ही नहीं हो जाते. So this will take about 5 minutes.
Okay, so he's basically making a sofrito for the sauce. In Italy, a sofrito, especially in the north and the south, it may be a little different, but this is the same as in French mirepoix. So this is carrots, onion, and celery. This is a base to a lot of sauces, stews, dishes in general. It gives the flavor. In Spain, we don't use the French ingredients. We use a lot of garlic, tomatoes, olive oil, peppers maybe. We change the recipe, it's different. I would suggest going a little light on the oregano because it can be very strong, like dried oregano. And the basil you can add because we're making a sauce. It doesn't really matter if you're going to be blending it up, but if you're going to be adding it later on, I would recommend adding it fresh after you cook the pizza because it's a very delicate herb.
Now, look at the consistency of this sauce. जो टमाटर है is almost half mashed. This is perfect. Completely उसे नहीं पकाना. इसे हल्का सा ठंडा करेंगे और इसे ग्राइंड करेंगे.
He has a little bullet blender. They work really well. The only issue with them is that if you want to make like large quantities of things, so like a lot of sauce, you can't really do a lot. So you need to get like a different type of blender, something more like a Thermomix or even a Vitamix. They work really well as well. And in reality, a lot of pizzerias don't actually make their tomato sauces. They don't cook them. They use crushed canned tomatoes and just put that on the pizza. So if you want to go the easy route, be my guest, you can use crushed canned tomatoes. Just use that instead of actually making the sauce. It's up to you.
That's it. Now, the trick is जब आप ये पेस्ट या इसकी सॉस को ग्राइंड कर रहे हैं, इसे टोटली पेस्ट नहीं करना, जरा सा चंकी रखना है. पिज्जा सॉस तैयार है. अब जानते हैं कि पिज्जा बनाते वक्त किन खास बातों का ध्यान रखना है ऑन कुनाल्स टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स. देखिए, जब भी हम पिज्जा बनाते हैं उसका डो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. डो को अच्छे से मसलना है, उसे गूंदना है ताकि उसके अंदर लचीलापन आए. अदरवाइज जो डो बनेगा वो बड़ा रूखा सा बनेगा. पिज्जा को अगर आप थोड़ा हेल्दी बनाना चाहते हैं तो मैदे के साथ साथ आप उसमें होल व्हीट फ्लावर या फिर मल्टीग्रेन फ्लावर या फिर ओट्स का फ्लावर भी डाल सकते हैं. रेशियो ये रहेगी कि 1 कप मैदा तो करीबन 1/4 कोई और आटा. तवे पर पिज्जा बनाते वक्त जल सकता है, इसलिए मोटे तले के पैन पर पकाएं. अगर पतले तले का पैन है उसके नीचे एक एक्स्ट्रा तवा आप लगा सकते हैं. Okay, so
this is interesting. It's good that he gives extra little tips and tricks. I like that. The only issue is that I didn't fully understand everything because I don't think the subtitles actually did justice with what he was saying. So while I think he explained very well, I would have preferred to have heard that in English because I didn't really get what he was saying.
just to recap, बेस हमारा रेस्ट कर रहा है, सॉस ग्राइंड हो गई है. अब चलते हैं टॉपिंग की तरफ. टॉपिंग में आपकी मनपसंद जो सब्जियां हैं उन्हें हमें जरा सा सौते करना है. लाइटली add a little bit of salt, some pepper और थोड़ा सा oregano. इसी के अंदर थोड़े बेसिल के पत्ते.
Now, this is a very important step. If you don't have an oven, you need to cook the toppings. You have to. Otherwise, they won't cook. Unless, of course, you like raw onions and raw mushrooms and everything. And if you want to be meeting people later, eating raw onions and garlic and everything, it's not very good. It doesn't give you good breath. But even if you have an oven at home, a lot of the times those ovens will not be at the same temperatures that commercial ovens are at, pizza ovens. So it won't cook the ingredients, and you have to cook the ingredients beforehand. But I would suggest to see my pizza video after seeing this one, because my recipe is easy, but you do need an oven.
ये टॉस करने के बाद इसमें जाएगा टमाटर. अनदर क्विक टॉस. रीजन हमने इनको क्यों सौते किया है या क्विक टॉस दिए, वो इसलिए क्योंकि जब आप अवन में पकाते हैं तो हीट हर तरीके से हर तरफ से आती है, तो सब्जियां भी पक जाती हैं. क्योंकि ये बॉटम हीट है, तवे पे बना रहे हैं, तो आपको जरा सा सब्जियों को सौते करना पड़ेगा. इसे करेंगे टोटली ठंडा. अब चलते हैं हमारे पिज्जा बेस की तरफ.
Keep in mind, in Italy, even though you think that they add a lot of complexity to the dishes and the ingredients, they don't. In Italy and a lot of other places as well, they rely on the quality of the ingredients. So the ingredients themselves have a lot of flavor. Like take a pizza margherita, for example. Outside of Italy, would I ever order a pizza margherita? No. Why? It's flavorless. But if you go to Napoli and you order a pizza margherita, it is delicious. Why is that? It has just a few ingredients on it. It's the quality of the ingredients that they're using. So you have to keep in mind, if you have ingredients that are flavorless, you need to add flavor to them. But if you have ingredients that have a lot of flavor, you don't need to complicate it. You really don't.
ये फर्मेंट हो चुका है. इसे हम आधे में डिवाइड कर लेंगे. ना लाइटली फ्लावर द सरफेस. अब हाथ से इसे हम थोड़ा फैला लेंगे. एक चीज का ध्यान देना है, जितना आपका पैन का बेस का साइज है तकरीबन उतना ही आपको डो बनाना है. मतलब ये है 9 इंच का पैन, तो मैं करीबन 8 इंच का ये पिज्जा का डो बनाऊंगा. ना एक फोक की मदद से इसे हम डॉक करेंगे, यानी इसको पंचर करेंगे. ऐसा इसलिए करते हैं ताकि जो पिज्जा का बेस है वो रोटी या चपाती की तरह फूले ना.
First of all, he explained very well. This is a very good thing to keep in mind. You don't want to roll out a pizza base to be like this big and your pan is this big. Not good. Doesn't work. It won't work. But was he using a golden fork? It can't be gold. Or maybe it is. If anyone's wondering why he's poking holes in the dough, this is to prevent the dough from creating air pockets and rising in the pan. In other words, it will make the dough look a little ugly. It'll look like it has boils. It's not nice having your little pizza with boils. No, not nice.
सबसे पहले पैन में जरा सा ऑयल ड्रिजल करेंगे और ये पिज्जा का बेस ये जाएगा इसके अंदर. अब दोबारा से इसके ऊपर हम डालेंगे ऑयल और करीबन 2 मिनट पकाने के बाद इसे अब हम टर्न करेंगे. पहले इसके ऊपर डालेंगे हम टोमेटो सॉस. हल्के हाथ से इसको फैला लेंगे. उसके बाद इस पर जाएगा ग्रेटेड मोज़रेला चीज.
Now, one quick tip that I would suggest while you're doing this is to do this off the heat. This is very important, especially if you're not very quick. You don't want to be there, with the pan on the heat while you're doing this, plating all the ingredients and then smelling something and you're burning the dough. You don't want that.
और अब इसे हम ढककर पका लेंगे. थोड़ी सी इंतजार और उसके बाद पिज्जा तैयार. चीज मेल्ट हो गया. लेट्स ओपन दिस. वाओ, लुक एट दैट. नाउ लुक एट दैट. घर पे बना हुआ पिज्जा लग ही नहीं रहा, ऐसा लग रहा है कि बाहर से आया है. परफेक्ट. ना पतले सिरे वाला हमें एक स्पैचुला लेना है या करछी. लुक एट दैट. नाइस मोज़रेला स्ट्रेच.
You do have to admit, though, making your own pizza at home, more often than not, is a lot healthier than just buying like a frozen pizza. It doesn't mean that they're bad, it just means that it may not be the healthiest. So if you make it yourself, you know what you put into the pizza, first of all. You know the ingredients, you know the amount of things that you put into it. If you're on a calorie deficit, you want to lose weight, you're not going to be adding like a lot of fattening things. It's good to do it yourself. And if you don't have mozzarella, that's not a problem. Just substitute it for a similar cheese. One that is not a super hard dry cheese, something that's a little softer and easier to melt, it's a good melter, and something that, unless you like the flavor, is not too pungent.
पिज्जा डन। अब चलते हैं एक्स्ट्रा शॉट्स की तरफ।
shot?
आज एक्स्ट्रा शॉट्स के अंदर हम बनाएंगे पिज्जा सूप।
What? Pizza soup? I was joking about the pizza soup, yeah? I didn't actually mean make pizza soup. Where's Vincenzo when you need him? I need him on speed dial. He needs to see this. I've never had pizza soup before. I don't even think it's a thing. Well, maybe it is, but pizza soup.
हम लेंगे लेफ्ट ओवर पिज्जा स्लाइस और उसे रफली चॉप कर लेंगे। इसे डालेंगे एक मिक्सर ग्राइंडर में। उसमें जाएगा लेफ्ट ओवर पिज्जा सॉस और थोड़ा सा पानी। इसे हम ग्राइंड कर लेंगे। इसे निकालेंगे एक पैन के अंदर। इसमें जाएगा सॉल्ट, ड्राइड ओरिगैनो, चिली फ्लेक्स और थोड़े से बेसिल स्प्रिग्स। गिव इट अ गुड बॉयल। अब इसे हम प्लेट करेंगे और हमारा पिज्जा सूप डन।
Is this revenge for Jamie Oliver making his butter chicken?
I've come up with a recipe that you could do any day of the week. This is my kind of version of a butter chicken. If you want to take the edge off the spice, put like 2 teaspoons of mango chutney.
Now, I'm sure it is strange for a lot of you, my Indian viewers, to see a Western chef make your cuisine from your local area. I know it is, yeah? When Jamie made his butter chicken, trust me, it was strange for us too. We don't like that. A lot of people don't like that recipe. Yeah, that's not a good one. Out of all his recipes, I think that one was the biggest mistake. I would use another word, but I want to be polite. I mean, the whole idea of having a pizza is the texture, you know? You have the bread, you have the cheese, you have sometimes even a crispy pizza. It's delicious, that texture that goes with it when you eat it. It's like lasagna. I mean, who wants to eat like a lasagna soup? You have the same flavors, but it's a soup. It's like puree. I mean, if you don't have teeth, it could work, but buy some dentures.
इससे जो पिज्जा बनाते वक्त क्या खास बातों का ध्यान रखना है ऑन बट वो डो डिवाइड हो चुका है, मिलाना करना वो फिर डो की हो जाती है। इसके ऊपर डालेंगे ग्रेटेड मोज़रेला चीज या फिर आप पिज्जा चीज का भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। Oh, I was dancing. Chalo. Okay, next.
The bloopers are the best. I would do bloopers, but a lot of my bloopers are of me swearing, so it's probably not that funny. Well, it probably is for a lot of you, but for some people it wouldn't be, and you know, I try to keep everything a little balanced and everything. I don't want to be too extreme here because otherwise people get angry, you know, with little pitchforks. Overall, I have to say this was an excellent recipe. Very similar to Chef Ranvir's, which turned out to be a good recipe because I made it and we tested it and it was delicious. So if you are in a college campus, you don't have an oven, or even at your home, if you don't have an oven, you have limited space and limited equipment, it works. It really does. Like I said, I made my own pizza recipe. Be sure to go check that video out after seeing this one. You can click on it probably here if I put it up. But guys, thank you for watching this. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And check out my other videos that I have. I have a lot of recipes and a lot of reviews of other Indian chefs as well as Western chefs. So be sure to check those videos out and other pizzas as well.